I'm going to try to explain to y'all the basic necessities that you need to know about life in 3 minutes. I will be talking fast, so just rewatch the video. Now, let me make this disclaimer. I do not expect anybody to believe what I believe, but just be curious before you're critical. This is what I've learned through studying. This is considered to be the Holy Trinity. It always has a father, a mother, and a male son. The father represents the mind, the mother represents the soul, and the male child represents the body. This is supposed to be a metaphor for how we come into balance and expand our consciousness. Now, let me explain it in further detail. The father figure is supposed to be the mind, okay? And the mind is responsible for obtaining knowledge. But knowledge is nothing without understanding. How do we come to some type of understanding? Our emotions. Our emotions help us to process the knowledge and figure out how we feel. That is the mother. She is the soul, the spirit. Now, she's always holding a male child. Now, a male child represents the body because when we are born into this earth, we are born to a body. But our body or our physical component is actually our masculine side of us. The bottom 3 chakras rule the body, which is masculine in nature. The top 3 chakras rule the spirit, which is feminine in nature. So that's supposed to represent the son and the mother. So in order for us to expand our consciousness, we need 3 things: knowledge, understanding, and action. Action is just applying knowledge and understanding, which is what we consider to be wisdom. So how you think, how you feel, and how you act should all come into balance. They should all be cohesive. So what happens when all 3 of these things are out of balance? Your mind is everywhere, meaning you got 1,000 things on your mind. Your emotions are everywhere, meaning you cannot regulate your emotions. And what you do is affected by those 2 things. In short, those are the people who are living in survival mode. Their brain is firing sporadically, their heart is firing sporadically, and what they do is affected by those things. The father represents the brain, the mother represents the heart, the male child represents the body, what we do. Taja, what causes the imbalance between our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions? An overactive amygdala. What is an amygdala? It is responsible for fear. When we go into survival mode, meaning fight, flight, or freeze, what's happening in our environment? There's some type of imminent danger or some type of fear. The people who are in survival mode have an overactive amygdala, meaning they have constant access to fear energy, which also means that their brain is firing sporadically and their heart is firing sporadically when they should be firing in unison, which brings clarity to the mind, to the emotions, and the body. What help brings the amygdala into balance? The sun. Because the sun activates light codes inside of us, which increases our awareness, right? Because our DNA stores information. And like I said before, fear is the absence of knowledge. So it's a direct result of you not expanding your consciousness. Now let's go back to this. You see Jesus with the sun behind his head on a cross. Does this look familiar? This is the sun in a cross. And this right here is the ancient symbol of the sun. The reason why it's divided into 4 quadrants for the 4 seasons. This is part 2, so if you didn't see part 1, click the comment, see comment, and go to the first video. So we left off here talking about how this is a depiction of the father, the mother, and the male child. This is supposed to be a representation of Jesus as a child. As you can see behind him, there is a sun behind his head, and there's also a cross, which actually looks like the true relic cross that the Vatican and the Pope use. Now, this is the ancient symbol for the sun, which looks a lot like that true relic cross. Now, this was found all in caves and hieroglyphs and stuff like that. Now, this is supposed to represent the 4 seasons. That's why it's divided into 4 equal parts. Again, I'm not making y'all believe anything that I believe. Just be curious before y'all critical. But Jesus is supposed to be a representation of the sun. As you can see, the sun is directly behind his head here as well, in pretty much any picture that you find of him. So when they say that Jesus died on the cross or the sun died on the cross, they are really referring to the fact that if the sun is here and it now moves to this side, then this side is going through winter and this side is going through summer, spring, right? So if this side is in winter, everything is dying on this side, whereas everything is prospering on this side. Now, the Pope actually has a black Jesus on his stand, but this is the common depiction of Jesus. He actually came about with the rise of Christianity when they were making everything European. Now, what's crazy is I was studying this about a year ago, and there was literally no information about Caesar Borgia online. Now, he is supposed to be the version of Jesus that we see that's hung on our wall. And to my understanding, when I was first studying this, he was the gay lover of the artist who was basically pegged with creating a white Jesus. But now, look, 2 weeks ago on Wiki, March 1st, 2023. There's so many articles from 2023. I'm going to assume it's because so many people on TikTok have been talking about this, but now there are so many articles from this year saying that Caesar Borgia was a son of Pope Alexander. Now that does make me a little suspicious, considering just a year ago there was nothing online about this. Now, there is a great documentary on the Gaia channel called Sun Worship, which talks about the ancient Egyptians. I would suggest that y'all go watch it. But if you want to look this up for yourself, look into the Hermetic principles, because they talk about this a lot when they talk about the laws of the universe. But the purpose of this video was not to disprove whether or not Jesus existed or he didn't. It was to point out the metaphor of the mind, the body, and the soul, which means how we think, how we feel, and how we act need to come into some type of alignment. And once they do, we're able to expand our consciousness. We have to understand this so that we can understand that it's not a coincidence that knowledge is being held from us, because if we don't have knowledge or understanding, we cannot do anything about what's happening. Wisdom is the application of knowledge and understanding.